first item is to call the meeting to order. Done. I would like to note that Councillor Wadi Smail is delayed at a meeting. He will be here before 7 o'clock. Also on Zoom tonight, we have Mr. Tom Hooper, who will be making a delegation and presentation. Welcome, Tom. The second approval on our agenda is the approval of that agenda. Councillor Dillabaugh, or excuse me, Deputy Mayor Dillabaugh, that's another dollar. Deputy Mayor Dillabaugh, you have that motion and you go forward, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and second by Councillor Martel that the Municipality Council approves the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any discussion on the agenda? No discussion on the agenda, so all in favor? Okay, here's a question. It would be marked unanimous then, if there's 4 of us at the table?
So through the chair at this point, yes. Also for future reference, just check to make sure that there's no last minute
Changes.
amendments, additions, etc. But for the most part, they're typically.
Okay. So marked. And then, so number 3 on our agenda is the disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Does anyone have any disclosures to make tonight?
None by me, Mr. Mayor.
Nothing. Hearing none, we move on to number 4 on our agenda tonight, and that is Mr. Tom Hooper. I was going to make a presentation on the 2023 Bass Tournament or the possibility thereof. Welcome to the council meeting, Mr. Hooper. Typically, we do 10 minutes. Afterwards, if the members of council have some questions. Floor is yours.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Tom Hooper. I'm the new executive consultant for Bait Fuel Fishing Tour. Maybe just to give you a quick little history of who I am. I'm a retired spec ed high school phys ed teacher. I've been working with Renegade, started in the 90s as shore staff, and then in the early 2000s, I took over as tournament director, and I've been on with Renegade Bass all the way up until just this past summer. Everybody that I employed being the tournament director are all high school teachers and still are with the Bait Fuel Fishing Tour. So as a bunch of teachers, we have our summers off, which is very nice, and we're very happy about that. But we also have an incredible amount of experience with working with parents and working with the public. So when we started with Renegade, it was just something that came really easy to us, and it was nice to be able to do stuff with adults instead of with high school kids, you know. So anyways, that's just a little bit about us. The unfortunate thing with Renegade, if you haven't heard, is Renegade Bass had to, I guess, close down. When I first started back in 2006 as tournament director, we had about 12 executive members who were volunteering their time to get everything done. And we had a huge tournaments with, you know, a big stage, and it was two release boats and all that stuff. And it was very professional and still is professional, but more and more people left. There was less volunteers. And in the end, there was only one person taking care of everything last year. And that model just didn't work anymore. So we're no longer a nonprofit organization. We are for profit now, at least on paper. We have the same staff that will be doing the tournaments. And we're being funded through Robert Greenberg, who is the CEO of American Bait Works, Bait Fuel, Big Rito, and of course his family's involved in Minto in Ottawa. So that's who my boss is. And he also fishes in the tournament. He has been for as long as I've known him, way back in the early 2000s. So that's just the history of RBT, which is now the BFT. And we're hoping to do a tournament for the first time in Cardinal. I know it's been asked before in the past to have a tournament in Cardinal. And of course, I wasn't involved then, but I did ask around as to the reasons why. And the biggest reason is that because RBT was a lake river tournament, we always went with Cornwall and Morrisburg because we started with them so long ago. And then of course we had to pick lakes. But the good thing is that with the Bait Fuel Fishing Tour, the entire series is on the St. Lawrence River. So we're going to hit 5 different places and have our championship as well. And we like Cardinal to be one of those places. I mean, there's a lot of direct and indirect economic impacts that we can do for you. Direct wise, our anglers, there's going to be, we hope that we have 65 teams, which is 130 anglers. They usually pre-fish for around 3 days. Some will stay in hotels, some won't, some will drive back because they don't live too far. But they use about an average of about $200 in gas every day, with hotels and restaurants, if there's any parking fees. So there's that direct financial impact for Cardinal and surrounding areas. And then more importantly, our indirect contact is everything is televised through Waypoint TV. We have just in the year 2022 on demand, we had 1.5 million views. And through our linear TV, we had almost 6 million views. So there's a lot of exposure. And it's about 50-50 of Americans and Canadians that look at the TV. So you're getting people from both sides of the border. A lot of people, of course, are in New York that look at the TV show. So those things we help communities and municipalities with by giving them exposure. And that's it for me. It's short and sweet, but I'm willing to take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Hooper, for the presentation. Let's open the floor to questions. Gentlemen. Don't speak over each other.
Do you have any dates in mind?
Sorry?
Is there a specific date that you had in mind?
There is, yes. We would like to be able to do the tournament on August 26th. I had emailed Mayor Dillabaugh way back. And just because because we never had a problem getting anglers in the past. But when you change anything, you worry about getting anglers. So we're trying to get our website up and going by next week. Our logo will be finished this week. So the idea is to at least have all our dates finalized and where they're going to be, so that when we advertise on our website, all the anglers will know where they're going to be fishing. So that's why it's important for us to kind of knock these dates down as fast as we can. So August 26th would be for Cardinal.
Follow up, Councillor?
No,
No,
good, thank
good.
you.
Okay. Councillor Ward?
Thank you through the chair. We're looking at sort of a one-day tournament, is that right? Or is it a several?
I think we'd like to try one. Yeah, sorry. I think we'd like to try one day, being that, I mean, I've done tournaments, like I say, for, probably 25 years in total, and I've never been to Cardinal. And, but I've heard a lot of the anglers, they've all gone fishing out of Cardinal, and they've said before to the executive in the past that they'd like to try have a tournament there. So, and there is from what I went on Google Maps this afternoon, just because I've never been in Cardinal and I wanted to see the layout. And it looks like it'd be a really, really good place to have a tournament. I am going to go out in the spring if you approve of the date, and check out the boat ramp and where we can set up our tents and where we'll be weighing in the fish, etc. But yeah, I think it would be an exciting new place for us to have in our tour. We're hoping to have maybe 6 places where we rotate 5 at a time. All of this is still in talk because this is brand new. And we like to rotate so that it makes it easier on the anglers if we do a double day. So a Saturday, Sunday, each one will be its own qualifier, but that way it only disrupts one weekend. We've had a lot of the wives complain that the fishing takes up too many weekends during the summer. And us being Canadians, we all know how precious our weekends are. So we may in the future use Cardinal as a double day because it's so close to Morrisburg, Smith Falls, Brockville, whatever, wherever the guys want to stay. If they want to stay in a motel, we know that that's available. I don't know. I was looking on your map. Do you have motels in Cardinal?
Yes, lots.
You do.
Cardinal,
Perfect.
Johnstown, Cardinal, Northwest of Cardinal, we're okay for you.
There we go. Good. So that to me is a plus. And I mean, I've been running tournaments out of Cornwall and Morrisburg, and I know most of our anglers, they love fishing on the St. Lawrence. So I'm hoping this is going to be a real successful tournament series.
You speak?
Hi, Tom, Deputy Mayor Stephen Dillabaugh, I got your email, thank you very much. I tried for the last 4 years to get the Renegades to come to Cardinal. And there was always that block, so I'm sorry that the Renegades had to fold, but I'm not. I'm glad that you're aboard with a new chapter that we can maybe have a bass tournament come to Cardinal. I think it'd be really good.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
Thank you. You're saying that you're having 130 boats or 130?
130 anglers, 65
130
boats.
anglers, so half of that, right? So about 60 boats and trailers?
Yeah, we don't want to go any further than 65 this year. We've done past in the Renegade, we've gone as high as 85. And we just find it's very hard to manage. And we're trying to keep it as it, I guess we have a lot of our anglers, and actually most of them are very affluent people. They have money. They don't have problems spending their money. But at the same time, we like to try to keep it as elite a series as possible. So we're not trying to attract, people like myself who love to fish, and I'm a good bass fisherman, but I could not stand up to the men that go out fishing in these tournaments. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to have the elite there because they're on TV. So we want the best of the best. So if we limit it to 65 teams, I think that will be a good start for us.
Now, Tom, is there a cost to host this?
Is there a cost for you to host this?
Yes.
No, but I am working on a funding proposal that I'd like to send to all the municipalities that we're going to be dealing with, looking for funding. But that's something that we can talk about later because I haven't finalized the entire way that I would like to display it. But yeah, we're just going to be looking for money to help the series along. And like I say, it'll be more precise on how beneficial it will be for you directly and indirectly for every municipality. And in some ways, it actually helps out more than one because a lot of you are very close together. So, yeah.
Thank you. Just one more question.
Yeah, keep going.
To the chair, sorry. Is there anything that for local children that you guys could put on, like maybe a little clinic?
Well, we used to put on a kids tournament, but it was just too difficult for us to run that and run our own tournament at the same time. There was just way too much for us to do. And so, I mean, this would be a good opportunity for someone in Cardinal, let's say, to take that part on and to do it nearby. And like, they won't get the professional anglers to help them because of course they'll be out fishing on the water. But we can be in the area and we can help out when needed, for a short period of time. But we do have early weigh-ins, which we didn't do very much with Renegade, and now we are doing it. So we kind of like to have to be on the ball pretty well from about 11 o'clock on. So, and they get launched starting at 6:30 and they go off in different waves. There'd be 5 groups. So, and then we have to set up. So it would be difficult for us, but it would be a great way for someone to take the opportunity to host a kids tournament at the same time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good, thanks, or Deputy Mayor. I have a couple of questions as well. So, bait field or bait fuel?
Bait fuel.
Bait fuel, okay. 'Cause
Bait
I
fuel.
thought you had said
all-
feed first, and then I heard your boss was bait fuel, so.
Bait fuel is actually it's if any of you know anything about fishing, it's the goop that you put on your plastic lure to attract
Yeah.
bass.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And you said the website will be available and coming soon. Do you have a site secured, a name?
That is not for me to take care of, thankfully. Matt Massey, who is an angler with us, but also works for Bait Fuel, is in the process of getting that done. So once our website is up and going, I can provide you with, and everybody else with the website for you.
Okay, last one would be, so I've not attended, we happened to be at Rice Lake when Renegade was there. And
I'm sorry, on what lake?
Rice Lake,
And Renegade was at Rice Lake?
Yeah.
Okay.
this year and last year, I believe, right? Timed August. Well, maybe I have the wrong series.
I think you have the wrong, I've never done a series on Rice Lake, ever.
Okay, well, I was gonna compliment you because it was very well done.
Oh,
But I won't do that. But what it comes to is what my question was, is the parking. So there, it was there, for the launches, there was really no availability for parking. And it sort of had to be done, way and off the site. I'm not exactly sure how our parking would work, but what do you do in places like Morrisburg and Cornwall to accommodate 65, trucks with long trailers?
yeah, at Cornwall, the boat launch is further down from the actual, we actually do the tournament at the Marina 200. That's where we do the tournament. That's where we have for the longest time. And the boat launch is probably about half a click west of the Marina 200. So all we do is that they put in their boats there, and their partner just waits for them to park there's a big area at the museum, and they park their trucks and trailers there. And then they jump on the boat and they just zoom down to Marina 200, where they'll get their morning announcements and their blast off instructions, and we blast them off right from there. The Morrisburg, we use the Legion has always been good to us by giving us the parking lot. And the baseball field, we try to make sure that if the baseball field is going to be used, we try to use the area around it. And the road leading down to the actual Morrisburg park and launch area, we've been using that as well. They've been able to take care of 85 boats. So, and like I said, I've never been to Cardinal, and that's where I'll probably have to go down in the spring and take a look around and see where the best place for us to have it, and maybe liaise with one of you. We can walk the grounds together and see what's good for, the village of Cardinal, but at the same time, good for us. So it makes it a little bit easier on our anglers. They don't have to go too far to get to their trucks and trailers.
Yeah, I think we have a fantastic waterfront, and hosting a tournament of the caliber. I think watching how respectful the folks were at Rice Lake, coming in and coming out, and no wakes and that thing until they're ready to actually take off out in the open. They're very respectful, and I know that would be a concern for residents, but having been to a few and seen them in high traffic areas and how respectful they are, I think the professionalism of the folks fishing is very high, and they take great pride in the way they do their craft. So
I agree. I mean, we look at safety as being a big thing for us. you know, we don't want to disrupt people around us, cottage goers. We know we're going to make noise. We know it's early in the morning that once 7 o'clock comes 6:30, we know there's going to be noise. But we've learned to not blast them all off at once. It's easier to go off in groups. Just it's more safe for the anglers, because as the waves get going and guys change directions, that's when things can happen. So we've been doing this wave system for probably about 7 or 8 years, and it really works well. It also means the same thing coming in. You don't have 65 boats all coming in at once. There's only about 15 coming in, or 12. And it just makes everything run so much smoother. And it's easier on the bass too, because if you have 65 teams all come in at once, the 65th team at the very, very end, who's coming in last to weigh his fish have been sitting in a live well for a very long time. This way, if we blast them off in different time lengths and they have to come back earlier, if you blast off early, you got to come back early, and then we can get them through. We used to do live release boats, and that was all good, I guess. We had a chance to fizz fish and that, but at the same time, the fish are still sitting in a boat. And our idea is to try to get the fish back in the water ASAP. And it seems to be more beneficial for the fish as soon as they get back into their own environment, rather than being inside a cattle tub or in the wells of the boats.
So 2 quick last questions, just for clarity. So for with the series, will there be a max distance from the boat launch or from the start line that they will travel? Or will they be starting here and heading like Bassmasters all the way to the mouth of Lake Ontario?
We've had those discussions. There's a group of 5 of us that get together, and we've been trying to, right now we're formulating the new rules that we want to be able to have on for our anglers and get them ready on the website. And that's one of the things that we're touching base on. Robert Greenberg who is our financial person, he would like to be able to open it up, but 2 of the other people are actually anglers, and they're like, no, we should have cutoffs. But once again, it's very hard for us to administer the anglers. I mean, some of them might end up cheating and going past a certain spot, but I don't know. It's still up in the air. The idea for us is we want to get the website out with the municipalities and the dates, and then we're going to open up registration in the new year, and hopefully between releasing our website and then opening up registration in the new year, we're going to hopefully get through all those details and have it much more plain for the anglers to know what they're signing up for. So
Okay.
Right now it's just about information for them so that they know there's actually something coming, because right now they think that RBT is done and there's nothing else to replace it.
Right.
So that's why we're trying to get it out there. So
last question is about release. And so just so that we can clear up for local anglers, so you'll be live releasing all the fish,
correct.
and they'll be released in the general vicinity of wherever the weigh-in station is.
We picked places for each municipality. We have lots of anglers that know some really good spots. 95% of the fish that are going to come in on this river series are going to be smallmouth bass. So they come from the deep waters. So that's where they should be released, is where you wouldn't put them in 6, 7, 8 feet of water, because then they're going to have to travel a long distance to get to where they're usually happy. So our anglers are all, and we've been doing this now for, it might be 5 or 6 years. We've been having the anglers release their own fish. And it actually works out because most of them have to go and in most instances, they have to travel a little bit of a distance to get to wherever their trailer is, or to get it on, to get their boat on the trailer. So it gives them an opportunity to go out to the deeper water and release their fish.
Okay, good. Cleared a couple of those up for me, and I'm sure local anglers will be happy to hear that they'll be if they're caught here, they'll be staying here, so that's good as well.
Yeah, it won't be going very far. So even if they were caught somewhere else, they'll all be released in your area.
Yeah. They're granddaddies. These aren't gonna be the babies. They're gonna be the big fellas, so.
You got it. Yeah. The St. Lawrence is unbelievable now. We're producing 7 and 8 pound fish, which is, I can't believe the size of them. They're absolutely huge.
One of the good things about gobies.
Yeah, exactly. It's the only good thing about gobies.
Does anyone at the table have any questions? Counselor Smale, no. Anyone else have any questions for Tom before we let him go? CAO.
Just timing for when he needs to know. Is December 13th reasonable?
Sorry.
Ooh, I was actually really hoping that we would be able to maybe finalize this week, because we want to release next week if we can. If we can get at least our web designer figures that it's still going to be under construction for the next month or so, but he can get out most of the stuff that we need to do to be able to let our anglers know that there is something coming in the future. Here it is.
Less than two.
So I don't mean to put pressure on you at all. It's just when I'm being instructed, from Robert Greenberg, is that he would like to know. And we only have you left and Morrisburg is actually having their council meeting tonight as well. So after that, if we have them all locked in, then we're ready to go.
Okay, just 1 second, Tom. Sorry.
So I think we should bring something to the committee on the 5th, and if they need, so that would be next week. So probably by Tuesday or something like that, we can probably give some.
If it passes through committee, then we
Yeah.
guarantee, yeah, so, but we're still gonna be weak. We're gonna be next
Yeah.
Monday. Yeah. So Tom, there won't be, there won't be anything moved tonight. It has to go to committee.
Okay.
Before we can do that, which is next Monday night is the first committee that it can go on, and we will know, depending upon, we'll know depending upon that meeting and what the outcome of that vote is, whether we'll be supporting as a council for sure. It's committee of the whole, it'll be all of council, so it'll be a 1 week delay.
Okay. And so good or bad, will somebody contact me Tuesday morning?
100%.
Okay, perfect. At least that's something I can just let the big boss know. That's all.
You can zoom in and be part of the discussion. I mean, or at least hear if there are any further questions from council next Monday night if you're available, if you want it as well. I mean, I don't know if any of the folks at the table will have any questions or not, but if they did, then sometimes helpful if you're here.
And I know you have my email address. So if something pops up in your head and you just want a quick answer, just email me. I have no problem, typing you back what you the answer to your question. Like I say, I've been doing this a long time. I'm new to being an executive and doing administrative duties because I've always done the tournament and only the tournament, but I've stepped away from that role. One of my best friends has been tournament director for the last 5 years. And like I say, we're all teachers. So it's a very professional, well-mannered tournament. As being teachers, we're all really good when it comes to certain things, when it comes to the public, and also when it comes to running our classrooms. And we do the exact same thing for the tournament. It is very professional, well-mannered, and I think from being at other tournaments, I think ours just comes down to it's very well run. Time management is really important to us because time management means good for the fish. So we try to run as smooth as possible, but we don't dilly-dally because we all want the fish to go back in the water ASAP. So.
Good, thanks, Tom.
All right.
We will get back to you. If you're not here with us next Monday night, somebody will get back to you in news on the 6th of December.
Yeah, so
All right.
I do anticipate that staff will be following up with Mr. Hooper later this week.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
Thanks again.
I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
sir.
Have a good evening, everyone.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye now.
Thank you. All right, moving on to number 5, which are the minutes, various minutes from previous council meetings. we have, sorry, I have to open up my iPad. The first one is 5A special tri-council, October 12th, 2022, and Deputy Mayor Dillabaugh has that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Martel, that municipality council receives and approves the minutes of special tri-county meeting dated October 12th, 2022.
Does anyone have any, so are we looking for comment on these? Are we looking for errors and omissions? What exactly are we?
Through the chair, right now, we're looking for approval, so any errors, omissions, etc., and then come to item 6, where business arising for discussion.
Okay. It just says previous council meeting. Okay. Okay, cool. So errors and omissions for now then, on these, did anyone have any errors or omissions to note? Hearing none, then it's moved and it is seconded. I will call the question. All in favor? Good, so then we are on to 5B, which is regular council, which is November 2nd, 2022, and Deputy Mayor Dillabaugh again.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Martel, that municipality council receives and approves the minutes of the regular council meeting dated November 2nd, 2022.
Mayor, does anyone have any errors or omissions in these council minutes? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? And 5C, which is our inaugural council meeting of November 21st, 2022, and that would be Councilor Bishop.
Moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Steve Dillabaugh. The municipal council receives and approves the minutes of the inaugural meeting of council dated November 21st, 2022.
Sir. Errors or omissions? Hearing none, all in favor? Show of hands, please. Deputy Mayor, you good? All right, so then we are on to item 6, which is business arising from any of these previous minutes. Does anyone have any business arising from those minutes?
It's arising. More questions. I think
It has to be
there.
in the minutes. No, you ask it now if it has any relationship to the minutes.
It's more just about the special tri-council and I guess the structure thereof and what it looks like going forward. Is it something that it looks like it's not just mayors going to that, it's a mix of it. I'm just not sure who goes to those, or is it just a general open forum for anybody?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question because I sort of had a similar question. I think to the CAO, you heard the counselor's question. I'll maybe phrase it a little differently. Do we plan on continuing to try municipal discussions?
Well, I would say through the mayor, if that's certainly the will of council, it will continue. The particular format in 2022 was basically all of council attending from each municipality. So, but as far as the structure, that's also something that could be looked at to see if it's a more condensed, sort of more of a committee style where there may be one or two representatives, but that's certainly something that would have to be considered in the direction.
And I think, are there any further questions? None? So my question was that as if we're going to develop, I noticed of note, there was only 7 people present on the October 12th one, I believe, the 3 mayors and a couple of other folks that were there. Will we have, what would actually make that, I mean, there's nothing binding that happens in that meeting, everything has to come back to each individual council. Will there be a terms of reference? Have we gotten to that point? Is that something that we have to discuss as councils? I mean, if there needed to be a quorum there, we don't really know what even the quorum would have been.
Yes, as of right now, there is not in terms of reference established, so I think that. If that's going to continue, there certainly needs to be.
I think we sort of touched upon that, but.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think further years. Okay, so no more questions. There isn't a motion for that. It's just questions arising, right? Okay, so on to various committee meeting minutes. Firstly, the Public Library Board, Deputy Mayor Dillabaugh, that's September 27, 2022. That is your motion.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Vital, that the municipality council receives the minutes of Public Library Board dated September 27th, 2022.
And again, just for council's clarity, these committee minutes, again, with questions in relation to the minutes or just errors and omissions?
Through the chair, when it comes to committee minutes, it can be any of the above. Questions, errors, omissions. However, when it comes to the Public Library Board and the Court Management Committee, they are approved at their respective boards and committees, so you're only receiving them at council, so it can't be any corrections. They're already approved, they're their own.
Right.
So at that point, it's receiving and questions.
So we're receiving and asking questions. We're not looking for grammar or punctuation at this point. Okay, good. So does anyone, knowing that now, does anyone have any questions in relation to 7A's minutes from September 27th? Once, no, good. So then second, moved and seconded. I'll call the question. All in favor? Unanimous. Before, I guess we proceed. We're gonna get to the library board again. I will ask the question. We had a former counselor, Counselor Cameron, was always at library board meetings. Was he there as a member of the library board, or was he there as a member of council, or both, or?
Through the chair, for our terms of reference for appointments to the library board. We have library board members and then one member of council as a council member appointed to that board.
Okay.
So that way they could report back on things that are of urgent nature in some cases to council.
And again, would that typically? I guess it wouldn't, yeah, we have two libraries, so it would just be a member of council. Okay, and we will decide that when?
Through the chair, as of right now, I'm actually redrafting and editing our current terms of reference, and it'll be brought forward at the December 5th meeting for review.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so on to the next set of minutes, which is Port Management Committee, October 19th, and Deputy Mayor Dillabaugh. I'm starting to get used to this, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Martel, that the municipality council receives the minutes of Port Management Committee meeting dated October 19th, 2022.
Sir, okay, so no errors and omissions, it's just questions. So are there questions related to these minutes? Anyone? Well, questions, all right, then I'll call the question. All in favor? And 7C, which is the Public Library Board meeting, October 25th, 2022, Deputy Mayor Dillabaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Chris Ward, that the municipality council receives the minutes of the Public Library Board meeting dated October 25th, 2022.
Right. Moved and seconded. Anyone questions regarding the Public Library Board meeting of October 25th? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? All right, so now we're on to the action and information items from committees. question before we. Before we start question 8, it says from committees, I don't believe that the retrofit, was that part of a committee discussion at some point?
Mr. Mayor, it did go to committee with respect to the plan to tender that. But the results have not been discussed at committee yet. It's going directly to council.
So the results never came back to committee. The results of it are coming to council directly. Normally, they would go back to committee for
Typically,
discussion before they came to council.
typically they would.
Just worth note. Okay, so, discussion before we have a mover and the seconder announced on this, does anyone, I've got to find this on my iPad. Does anyone have a little pre-discussion before we have a mover and a seconder?
Mr. Mayor, I couldn't approve this, I couldn't move.
I'm wondering, since it hasn't been to committee and it's going to council, that potentially it might serve council some value to have the manager of parks, recreation and facilities just sort of go through the action item before discussion begins.
Good idea. That works great. Mr. Facilities Director, if you want to do that.
Certainly, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So back on October the 11th, we provided the committee of the whole information to indicate that phase 2 of the Cardinal Pool project would be tendered out. That tender was submitted out on the 1st of November to the closing date of the 15th. Pre-budget approval, we were looking forward in tonight's meeting. The reason for the tight timeline is in order to secure the successful bidders with their spring projects. The tender was emailed out to 5 companies that we had submitted those 5 companies for phase 1. Phase 2 of the project, I won't get into the specifics, but it certainly is referenced in the action item in sections 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3. At the time of closing on the 15th of November, in the presence of the treasurer and the clerk and myself, we received 1 tender for the project. That tender company was on Code Pools. Their phase 2 price was $334,425. The non-rebated HST is listed for a tender subtotal. Typically, when we are working with projects of this nature, we add a 10% contingency. So that figure shows at 33,000. That's based on the actual phase 2 bid, not with HST included, for a total of $380,138. Council could consider canceling this tender. This would require staff to perform additional patchwork and prepare similar to what we did last summer. The risk is that the health may not pass the building during their inspection. Is going on to talk about the policy, the implications and financial considerations. Alternative, the municipal council direct staff to cancel the 2022 Cardinal phase 2 tender to complete the necessary patching repair prior to the opening of the 2023 season. And then the recommendation is that municipal council grant pre-approve the award of Cardinal phase 2 work to all the pools. The amount of $334,425 plus the 9 non-rebated HST and allocated 10% contingency to be used at the discretion of the manager of parks, recreation, and facilities for any anticipated costs arising during this project.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Spencer. Does anyone wish to? I mean, it doesn't have a mover and a seconder yet. We have a recommendation and an alternate recommendation, and we can make a third recommendation or whatever as council. But let's have some discussion in advance of doing that, unless somebody wants to. I don't think you have a mover and a seconder at this point, do you?
Nope, I don't.
Okay, it's under yours. So let's have some discussion. I'm just supposed to guide the discussion. You guys are supposed to talk about it.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. On this, I'm definitely against, the second motion of, necessary patch and repairs in preparation for 2023 Cardinal Pool. I'm forward for a new liner, as I think Mr. Spencer knows, just not for one location. I know it's hard. We certified companies. I just hope myself, if we could re-tender that, clearly we get other tenders. That's my hope. On that, but I'm definitely against patching. I do want a new line, and just like to get a little bit more companies involved if possible.
To staff, question, I think would be that, the number that came in is well above the anticipated, tender value. I mean, what, if council was to, can you cancel a tender? I mean, this obviously didn't meet all the guidelines of the tender, right? Value, it's above what our anticipated value was.
There was, as far as the actual tender package, there was no dollar value submitted in there.
No.
So the company that submitted the documentation with their pricing met the criteria of what the tender was at.
You didn't sit them down.
It wasn't like a design bid.
No.
You have $1 to build it. This is what we'll do for that $1. Not what this tender was. It was just a tender asking for cost on the scope of the work that we provided. This company provided all the proper documentation.
Duly chair, yes, to the facility manager. You did give us approximately what we thought we were looking at, right? Could you just rattle my?
Through the chair to the deputy mayor, yes, it's indicated under the background. When we had pricing done for phase 1, which was completed in 2022, we had a ballpark figure given to us between $230,000 and $275,000 for the completion of phase 2.
$230 to $275, is that right?
That is correct.
That's why I like to see to go. out to
So-
the
So. Further discussion?
Through the chair, I mean, I share the concern about having just one supplier on this here. If in fact we're stuck with that, I don't like the 30% extra as well. You know, and I take it this work can't be split up to say do the line or do the coping in another year and push it off. Yeah, okay. I don't know much else on that.
So, help me out with this, Mr. CAO, what are the implications of canceling the tender?
Well,
I don't get the sense that there's a ton of support for a recommendation.
certainly council could cancel that tender. But you certainly, because you didn't like the price, go right out to re-tender that, because other potential companies now have, they know the price, and that's just not appropriate. So to me, you have the option of canceling the 2022 tender, make those necessary repairs, look at it in spring again, and look to tender that again potentially for a longer window, and look to complete that work in the fall and the spring of, like the fall of 2023 and spring of 2024 gives a wider timeline. Maybe you get better pricing, maybe you don't.
So if I may, would it be appropriate if we canceled it for? You know, it would be still in the same calendar year then. Re-tender in the spring for potential work in the fall?
That would, I think that would be reasonable.
Then the dollar.
I think, I think it's certainly fair that the information item came to the previous council. This is now a new council, and this is the first time it's coming.
It's a big decision.
You know, it's a
Your
big,
first
it's a
decision.
big decision. It would not necessarily be unreasonable to given all those circumstances to,
Okay, so yeah, go ahead. So,
That's okay, no, I just, and I think, when we did a tour of the facilities, there's as you outlined here, there's an inherent risk in not doing it, and that, the work we do as a patching may not qualify, and it may put at risk the entire swimming season as well, which is an important thing to note. And I get a little bit about how the tender process works, and, I mean, to the mayor's point, to the chair's points, this is at risk as far as being approved. Is there any means to delay this discussion and see if it's, and I don't know the answer, legally possible for them to maybe see if they can resharpen their pencils on that bid before we decide?
through the mayor, there would be nothing to say that staff didn't contact the bidder to see if there's any any measures that could be taken to reduce that amount. Although I would anticipate that it is nothing substantial with respect to reductions, if any.
30%. Deputy Mayor.
So the duly chair, if we go to the alternative of tender now to repair unnecessary patch. Cheapers, we may get a $50,000 bill just to patch, and then look at it in the fall, we'll have over 400,000. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is the facility manager, through the chair, if we did nothing and started the pool as if we do in the spring, would, I know I'm putting you on the spot, would everything pass?
Through the chair to the deputy mayor. We would not just do nothing. I feel the patchwork that our staff did last year was sufficient enough to get us through the summer. And the walls aren't, I mean, they definitely need to be done. We'll have to wait and see how the winter holds it. So we would look at it, we would start looking at it in late February, early March to see. That's when we started noticing some of the areas that we had to work on this past summer. But I would have, the staff would be able to do the patchwork. And it's all in-house. So, but that's the risk we take. But I would think that it would be. Sorry, it would be a lot easier to have staff do the patchwork than to bring someone else in to learn the patchwork.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I have a motion here to do the chair, but to tender it out. Phase 2 tender and complete patching repairs, so it would be in-house.
Definitely would be in-house.
Well, I can do that.
Did I see you? Did you?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
It was tender once already.
Through the chair to yes, it was tendered on November, that's correct. Now, when we did this 5 companies, I know 2 companies did on that.
Okay, folks, so Councillor Martel.
Through Mr. Mayor, was the company that did phase 1, the same one that's bidding on phase 2?
Through the chair to Councilor Martel, no.
Need some guidance or on the table.
I mean, we could be in the same situation next year, only a higher price.
Yeah, but have a year to prepare, sorry, through the chair, but have a year to prepare for that at least, you know.
But we had a year last year too.
Looking to staff at this point, I think.
Yeah, I guess through the, through the mayor of the council, if the comfort level is not there with the current amount, if you feel the need to cancel that tender, there would be nothing to sort of indicate that council couldn't put away a portion of that cost into reserves to be to help with the work over in 2024. Right.
This,
in
this
advance
is
of that.
pre-budget approval was
Correct.
the ask, and the anticipated ask was somewhere between 230 and 270, right?
That was the costing that was received in the spring of 2022.
Just Councilor Smith?
To the mayor, the cost was already pre-approved by the last council, is that what you're saying? Or you just estimated that's what it would cost?
Through the two staff.
Through the chair to Councilor Still, yeah, no, it wasn't, the pre-approval was just an information item that went to the previous council to say that we were going to tender. In that tender package, was a cost estimate that we had gotten.
Yes,
I'd like to make a motion that we don't accept the tender.
so the alternate motion,
Accept it. We do not accept this tender. Making a motion, we do not accept this tender. This time.
you have a second here for your move? That's all you wanted to say, we do not accept the tender?
We do not want to accept this and ask our and our staff to prepare for 2023. 2023.
So let me read this. See this. So the alternative on my sheet, not the motion sheet, says the municipal council directs staff to cancel the 2022 Cardinal Pool Phase 2 tender and complete necessary patching repairs in preparation for the 2023 Cardinal Pool operations.
With our staff.
So do you have that as an alternate
No,
motion?
Through the chair, yes, Deputy Mayor Gilbert does have that exact motion as an alternative.
Can you look and see if you have that motion?
I just has
Deputy?
full phase 2 tender and complete.
So that is it, that municipal council direct staff. to
Read
cancel
the-
2022 Cardinal Pool Phase 2 tender and complete necessary patching repairs identical to the report.
Of 2020 with our staff. So we're not tendering out, the way I read this, we're tendering out the patching, no? Okay. I have that. I will, thank you. I just read it
That-
wrong when you said tendered, I thought we were going to tender it.
Okay, I thought you had a different one, the alternative, so
I'll move that if I could get a second there.
okay, you need a second there. Why? Doesn't work, so, no. Up at the top.
Won't be the last one, don't worry about it. Thank you.
All right, so there were further discussion. We have a motion on the floor, so we're discussing the alternative, which is the municipal council direct staff to cancel 2022 Cardinal Pool Phase 2 tender and complete necessary patching repairs in preparation for the 2023 pool operations.
I think just one last question that I just wanna get opinion from staff on is. If we attempt the alternative and it doesn't work out and we don't get approval to open the pool. What does that look like for you guys for the rest of the year as far as how to organize all the swimming that goes on, I guess?
Yeah,
Through the chair
Maybe we'll get
to
something.
Councilor Ward,
All this.
We'll make it work. We did last year, like, appearance wise, it doesn't look good. But as far as balancing the water and the chemicals, we have no problem doing that. Like, the fact that the walls are discolored and not in the best of shape doesn't affect the water quality. Obviously, they look at both, but if there's any hollow areas on the walls that we had looked at when we were there a couple of weeks ago, we'll address that and make sure that they're ready to go for the summer. And I'm quite confident that the pool would open. Obviously, we'd like to have a new liner, but I understand the circumstances that you guys have been involved with. But we will make sure that it's ready to go.
Thank you.
So of course, there's always a follow-up then. And if this is not the time, please forgive my ignorance and my newness then. Could we add to this motion to also and make sure that we incorporate putting, you know, the 230,000 originally into the budget, so we reserve it for this year, so that we can then ready for that future years to have that reserved? Or is that something we do later on budget?
I'm gonna sort of ask staff how to deal with that.
Thank you, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would think that would be something that we would incorporate into the 2023 budget deliberations. And determine the value at the comfort level of this council for what they would like to put away in 2023. Once you've had an opportunity to see the entire outlaying of the 2023 budget.
Right. Yeah. Councilor Snell.
Through the mayor to the recreation director, Mike. The health unit, if they come in and inspect the pool, is the walls and all the patching, is that included in the inspection or? Is it just water?
Yes, they check, you know, the entire integrity of.
So they could shut it down if it wasn't satisfactory to them and fire staff didn't do it properly?
It was satisfactory this past summer. Just, again, it just optically, it doesn't look great and the discolored and the fact that we patched up the areas. It's the base of the deck too, like the bottom that is starting to hit a little bit. Which is a little bit harder on the kids' feet now, but the health unit doesn't get in water to inspect that.
Can you tell me how old the pool is? You know,
In 2002, we had the liners, we had the liner reconfigured, I should say, with tile and coating and plaster. So it's lasted 20 years. We did that on a Trillium grant back in 2002. We did Cardinal in 2002 and then Johnstown in 2003.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. It has been seconded. Is there further discussion? You're comfortable with that it will be on 2023 budget, so for discussion. If there's no further questions or discussion, then I think hearing it. No? Right, so then I will call the question. Do you have it? Read it one more time? We'll just read it to make sure.
Moved by myself, second by Council Smell, but Ms. Part Council direct staff to cancel the 2022 Cardinal Pool Phase 2 tender and complete necessary patch and repairs in preparation for the 2023 Cardinal Pool operations.
All right, so knowing the question, I will call, if there's no more, I will call the question then. All in favor? All right, so moving on to item 8B, which is the extension agreement for Meady Halliday. So Councillor Martel.
Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stephen Dillabaugh, that council enter into an extension with Billy Beatty and Jessica Halliday for roll number 0701-750-07400-0000.
All right, everyone has read their package. They have an understanding of what this is. Are there any questions? Okay, then I shall call the question. Moved and seconded, yes. Great. I'll call the question. All in favor? Item number C, which I believe is Councilor's mail.
Resolution. I'm saying this right, the merits. I'm new with this, so I came in late, I apologize
Moved
for that.
by whoever the mover is, whoever the seconder is.
Must have been, because there's no clue around there.
Yeah, you have to sign.
You have to sign it.
Okay.
I think one of us, one of somebody seconded it, I think, for you.
If I can read. But Mr. Dillabah,
It's moved by you.
moved by me, Councilor Smith, sorry, I apologize for that. Seconded by Mr. Deputy Mayor Dillabah. Whereas Bill C 234, an act to amend the Greenhouse Gas Pollution Pricing Act, was introduced to the House of Commons on February 7th of 2022. And whereas Bill C 234 proposes to amend the Greenhouse Gas Pollution Pricing Act to expand the definition of eligible farming machinery and extend the exemption for qualifying farming fuel to marketable natural gas and propane. And whereas Ontario Agribusiness Association is a provincial trade association that represents the interest of the crop input, county and terminal grain elevated livestock mills and allied businesses. And whereas the Ontario Agribusiness Association has provided a letter addressed to the MP Ben Loeb, outlining comments and recommendations on behalf of the association members in respect to the private members Bill C 234, and whereas the Ontario Agribusiness Association letter was reviewed, discussed and supported during the Port Management Committee meeting held on November 23rd, 2022. Now therefore it be resolved that the Municipal Council of the Corporation of the Township of Edinburgh Cardinal hereby supports and endorses the Ontario Agribusiness Association letter to MP Ben Loeb dated November 1st, 2022. And further, that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Ontario Agribusiness Association, MP Loeb, MP Bourbier, Prime Minister Trudeau, and Leeds and Grenville municipalities.
Oops. All right, discussed at the port meeting. Further discussion here, anyone? Hearing none, then I will, it's moved and so, yeah, I can see why you're going to read that to Councilor Smith. Moved and seconded, I will call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. So we are now down to item 8D, which is the Port Financial Audit Service Plan. Councilor Ward.
So that is moved by me, myself, and seconded by Deputy Mayor Steve Dillabah, that municipal council received and approves the 2022 audit service plan for the Port of Johnstown as presented by MNP LLP Chartered Accountants as recommended by the Port Management Committee.
It's been seconded, further discussed, does anyone have any comments or questions before I call the question? I do have one, and it was asked, it was sort of mentioned anyways, at a port management meeting. We were talking about tenders, and when this was last, our auditor was last put out for tender, and it was thought to have been last year, but we weren't 100% sure. Do we know how long it's been since? There's quite a considerable increase in the cost for this audit, and I think the sort of the concern was it hadn't been tendered in a while, and we were told that there are only a few people that actually do it, but I guess the question would be, when was the last time, or do we know when the last time was?
I'll ask the clerk to speak to that.
So through the chair, the discussion that was kind of back and forth with the board. The appointment was for the year. We have to appoint again for this year, going into 2023 to cover the basis for this. Before that, there was a mix up of whether or not it was the RFP for the auditor or insurance. Previously, it was insurance. We haven't went out to official tender or RFP for auditing services for 15 years. There was a report in 2020 from our previous treasurer recommending that we do that. However, that did not happen for other reasons. So that may be something the future treasurer needs to.
Fantastic background. So this locks us in for this year's audit plan, nothing further. We would have to appoint them again next year to do the same thing. So if council chose, they could, or if staff brought a report or whatever, we could choose to tender that out. Okay.
So, yeah, so through the mayor, you would tender out for auditing services in 2023 and 2023. Or
Early on in 2023. So that's something that we could see back in January, February, or something like that. Okay. Okay, cool. Does anyone else have any questions?
No, I think, we're kind of locked and loaded on this, kind of at the point of no return, so this is what it is.
Yep. Anyone else? Hearing nothing. All right, then moved, seconded, call the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
We are on to correspondence, number 9, Mr. or Councilor Joe McCann.
Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stephen Dillabaugh, that municipal council receives the correspondence listings for the following dates as previously circulated: November 2nd, 2022, November 9th, 2022, November 16th, 2022, November 20th, 2022. Thank you.
Thank you. So just, again, just an item for, before I call the question so that all councillors understand, in your council, in your correspondence package, there's, well, if you've read through them, there's lots of information, lots of things. If you want to bring them to discussion, you can forward them to staff and ask for them to be included on agendas, or to the chair of, we don't have chairs of many of those committees yet. So to those chairs, and anything that's in those correspondence could come through for discussion items. Am I correct?
Through the chair, another option is to bring it forward under Council Inquiry's notice of motion to be identified that you discussed it at a future committee and specify.
Right.
Where we would be able to coordinate where best fit.
Yep. And so I would suggest making sure that you read through, you open and read those correspondence packages. There's always a lot of information in there that will be useful for future meetings. Moved and seconded, further discussion. Call the question then, all in favor? Rocket tonight. All right, number 10, our usual slowdown. Which is approval of disbursements. Councillor Ward.
I will speak as fast as I can. Moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Stephen Dillabaugh, that municipal council approves payment of municipal invoices circulated and dated as follows. Report dated October 27th, 2022-145 for $655,133.51. Report dated October 28th, 2022-146 $123,213.94. Report dated November 15th, 2022-163 $225,123.30. Report dated November 18th, 2022-165 for $190,552.10. Report dated November 22nd, 2022-167 for $288,710.72. And the report dated November 23rd, 2022-169 for $200,000 and $200,620.36 for a grand total of $1,683,353.93.
It's always a tough one to get through. with
Yeah.
the numbers, yeah. Does anyone have any questions about the disbursement sheets?
I had just had one question, which was pertaining to the $515,000.
Which, you have page number?
Sorry, so let's see here.
And who it should go to?
It is to the treasurer, and it is on page, that's really is not a good answer, 79, 116.
And what was it?
It was for the storm PB number 2, Spencerville drainage, for $515,197.57. And it was more about, is that the final payment, or is there a holdback that we still have? In case there's anything that's noticed at a later date, so I was just inquiring about that.
Good, is the CEO to the treasurer?
Through the chair to Councillor Ward, that payment represents, we're almost finished, the project, but not totally finished. There is a holdback in place of 10%. So we are covered on that one question. And then right now, after an update from Mr. Shaw, the vendor is actually doing some remedies on things that weren't done to specifications, and that's at their cost, not our costs. So that's good distinction there. That's where we're at with those projects.
Thank you very much, appreciate that.
Anyone else with any of the disbursement sheets? Hearing none, then I will call the question, moved and seconded. I will call the question, all in favor? Good. All right, just let me make one note. Most of those payments have already been paid. We're basically just receiving that, is that correct? Yes. Okay, bylaws on 11A, which is to appoint the alternate to county's council. I believe Councillor Smale, you have that.
That's Mayor, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Chris Ward. For the bylaw to appoint an alternate member to the Council of the United Counties of Leeds and Rebel during the absence of the mayor, be now read a third time and finally passed.
Stop. Wrong page, first time, first and second.
Perfect, sorry.
Okay, just start over from the beginning.
Moved by myself and seconded by Chris Ward, and I believe Deputy Mayor.
No, just.
Looks like there's two
Those are
separate
corrections.
questions.
Yes, so you can see my line through, but I did correct that, yes.
That a mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to appoint an alternative member to the Council of the United Counties of Leeds and Rebel during the absence of the mayor, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Right, first and second reading. If first and second reading passes unanimously, then we can move on to third reading. Discussion before I call the question, hearing none, all in favor? You can proceed to third reading.
I apologize for the mistake.
It's okay. We're lots of learning, believe me. I was
Moved by
agreeing.
myself and seconded by Councillor Chris Ward, that a bylaw to appoint an alternative member to the Council of the United Counties of Leeds and Rebel during the absence of the mayor be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2022-67.
Counselor, so, discussion if any? Hearing. Sorry? Oh, I thought I heard you say something. Hearing none, then all in favor? Welcome to the alternate position, Deputy Mayor Dillabaugh. Moving on to 11B, which is the site plan control agreement for, also known as Moulton for 11 Center Street. Councillor Chris Ward, you have that motion?
Moved by myself and seconded by Joe Martell, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to authorize the execution of a site plan agreement with Donald Joseph Moulton, 11 Center Street, and this shall constitute the first and second reading thereof.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe we have discussed this at committee level in the past, correct?
Through the mayor, yes, we have.
Yeah. Okay.
The reason it hadn't come earlier was because of the zoning bylaw.
This is zoning. Gotcha.
Correct.
Good. Okay, so it's made it through committee with last committee, it's coming to council. Okay. Post bylaw approval, zoning bylaw approval.
It is a site plan control agreement.
Right, but it's coming now because of ZBL has passed, right? Yeah, it's been or whatever. Yeah,
Correct, because at the old zoning bylaw didn't have that as a permitted use. The new bylaw does have that as permitted use.
good. Okay. So first and this is first and second reading, right? So we have this conversation on the third reading. I'll call the question. All in favor? We proceed to third reading.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Joe Martell, that a bylaw to authorize the execution of a site plan control agreement with Donald Joseph Moulton at 11 Center Street be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2022-68.
Thank you. Questions? I have one. Throw a monkey wrench at you. It's been a busy day and I forgot to ask earlier. I noticed in reading through one of the conditions that they have to comply with is that all of the building is done within 1 year. Is that typical of a control agreement?
Typically, yes, within once the work is commenced, yes.
So once approved, they have, so does this still have to go to county for final approval? No, it gets approved tonight here. So he'll have 1 year from tonight to have it completed. So that's good. Or is it 1 year from his permit?
So whenever he starts to work, he has 1 year to complete it. Correct.
So, sorry, now I have a question. Thanks. So he can start the work at any time down the road as well, or is that?
Typically, in those circumstances that the owner is anxious to get things started. But this is just one of those mechanisms to ensure that it continues forward, that it's not extended over multiple years unless there's some unforeseen or exceptional circumstance.
To the mayor, to the CEO. So if it's not completed in 1 year, what's the consequences? What happens?
Well, we have the option to extend that timeline.
Okay, that's what I'm-
Yeah. That is naturally an option that exists. But there'd have to be some reason, right? There's a lot. In most cases, what you don't want is partially finished structure.
Won't be the case in this.
Certainly not anticipated, it's just one of those reminders that.
Sure. Part of a normal second plan. Discussion. Different committee maybe. All right, so moved, seconded, this is third reading. Does anyone have any final questions or comments before I call the question? None. All in favor? Okay, we're moving along then. So we're on 11C, which is the extension agreement for BD Halliday, and Councillor Martelli, you have that motion.
Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stephen Dillabaugh, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to authorize an extension agreement with Billy Beatty and Jessica Halliday, and that this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Comments, questions? Hearing none, call the question, all in favor? You can proceed to third reading.
Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stephen Dillabaugh, that a bylaw to authorize an extension agreement with Billy Beatty and Jessica Halliday now be read a third time and finally passed, signed and sealed and numbered 2022-69.
Question, comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question, all in favor? And we will move on to item 12 on our list, which is the CAO's administrative update. I think this time I will have you, if that's okay, go through it instead of, I'll give you the opportunity to present your update. I know that's been done many different ways over the term, and then at the end we'll have Councillor Smale move and bring that forward. Is that fine?
Certainly, Mr. Mayor. I won't go through it in full detail, but I will highlight a couple areas. So I think a very good friendly competition with respect to assist the local food banks. We'll kind of go up against the township of Augusta and town of Prescott, collecting non-perishable items. I think we're planning on that up until December 15th, roughly as a target date. So
Councillors can be included in that.
most definitely, and bring your items to the office here, and we'll get a little bit more information out on that item.
Let's kick some butt.
I think the next item is as in typical the last few years anyways, we have closed the township office over the Christmas to New Year's. So the plan as it is right now would be to close on noon on December 23rd and then reopen on Tuesday, January 3rd. It's in actual time, it's about 2.5 days that it would be closed. And at that time, staff would use up holidays or personal time during that time. Gives everybody a little bit of a breather and time to refresh.
Good break for a very busy season coming ahead.
Yes. Upcoming meeting schedule. Just a reminder of next week, 6 p.m. There's public meetings with respect to zoning bylaw amendments. Our regular committee meeting will start at 6:30 on the 5th. So we have a regular council on December 12th, and right now Wednesday, December 21st, the meeting. With respect to Treasury, the 2022 Township Financial Audit Service Plan will be coming forth at the December 5th Committee of the Whole meeting. And I believe something that we discussed on our tour and council orientation with respect to some of the funding for the water treatment plant burn. It looks like we've moved forward, and we will be receiving, or have we received?
I don't think we received.
No, so we will be receiving
But it's
in the next couple of weeks.
Guaranteed for years. Checks in the mail.
That's right. That's right. So that was some good news. Facilities and recreation, we've got aerobics class. We finished up with the last session last week. Surveys have been distributed and just awaiting some feedback, but all indications are that there'll probably be another one that runs early in the new year. Kids art class was sold out, and we are now coming up to week number 3 in the program. So, and everybody's favorite thing to do over the December timeframe is to have a little escape with Santa. We've got that scheduled in Cardinal on December 16th and Spencerville on December 18th. The COVID clinic is done on a monthly basis, and for December, it's December 9th from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Operations, so we have the with Public Works update on the Johnstown project. So curbs and gutter went in on Sophia Street late last week. There are a couple of deficiencies that staff are working through. They're still anticipating within the next week to 10 days to have that Sophia Street paved. Mary Street will most likely remain in gravel for the winter season, and they will return in the spring to complete the curbing and paving. Just with respect to traffic signs, we've had all of the regulatory road signs assessed by a third party, and staff are in the process. Once some of those defective signs have been received, that we'll get those replaced. From what I hear, all indications are that the Spencerville Whoville was quite a success on Saturday, and thanks to our public works staff and county for getting the barricades and detours set up. But I guess with respect to Safe Sidewalks or the sidewalks, Safe Sidewalks Canada deficiencies in Spencerville and Cardinal. Operations, environmental services. I guess the big items to note is that the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks have been in to complete their annual inspection. So it was a focused inspection this year, and I believe it was a announced inspection this year. So in certain cases, they will do an unannounced inspection or announced inspection. It will be focused, or it will be a more broad inspection. So for both the Cardinal System and Industrial Park, it was an announced focused inspection. I think with respect to the Spencerville system, we had the sludge depth assessed on both of our lagoons, and we will have a report coming forward to council shortly on the results of that. But I would say overall a pretty positive report. Operations, municipal drains, just of note that there'll be a couple of projects going out for tender early in 2023. The Ferguson drain, which we sort of whipped forward into 2023 based on some of the pricing that came in during the lame duck period of council, and due to the timing of the Newport County Road 2 East Branch portion, we delayed that, and we'll get that out to tender and complete it in the 2023 season. Fire department, did kind of skip over that in Treasury, but we are anticipating in the next couple days that we will receive the new fire tanker. So hopefully, by Wednesday or Thursday of this week, we will have that, that unit. I guess just of note with respect to, partnerships, or at least working together, just with respect to the annual breathing apparatus maintenance and air quality testing to save on travel costs. We've adjusted the schedule, and we will be there will be contractor will be performing both Augusta and Eversburg Cardinal at the same time. So, and early on in 2023, we did receive some smoke and CO alarms from Enbridge Project Zero, and the fire chief and the department is working on a deployment strategy, and we will bring a sort of a press release and some good news story early in 2023. I guess the last part is the municipal compliance report. So we had a follow-up emergency exercise this morning with some of the members of the alternates on the municipal control group, and the emergency management program committee met following that. So I would say that we are pretty much wrapped up for the municipal compliance end of it, and we will get that submitted in advance of the December 31st timeline. With that, Mr. Mayor, I'll turn it over to you, and if answer any questions that council may have.
Thank you for a very fulsome report, Mr. CAO. Two members of council, who wants to start? Raise your hand up.
Thank you to the chair, to the CEO. You said Newport Tender East End will be in the spring?
The East Branch, yes.
The East Branch.
Yes.
From, you saying east, is that from the overpass?
So if you recall through the mayor, if you recall the west, there was an east branch and a west branch. The west branch is actually getting completed now. With the county.
Yeah.
So the east branch will be, I would say, closer to the Giant Tiger Boulevard now.
Right now.
Right.
Thank you.
Is it the bottom, is it the bottom of the hill? By Steo? Is it that?
In around there, yes. It will incorporate that one.
That one, that's the East Branch, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I thought too, but I wasn't 100% sure. Further? You got lots of red there.
Yeah, no. Oh, yeah, Thursday, due to chair to our CEO, I was told today to be paving this Thursday on Sabaya, so. It's,
Yes,
we'll see.
yes. Once the pavement's down, we'll know that they were there.
Yeah.
Completed the work.
Councilor Smith.
Sort of question, Deputy Philip, talking to the Coco guys for paving it, I believe. And they were all there today, measuring all out, so pretty positive that they're on Thursday.
Did you have something?
No, well, I just, one thing I guess was to just echo, we agree that, I think it's a good idea, and definitely, I think it's excellent that we give staff the holiday off between Christmas and New Year's. It's a really good thing. I've been doing it for decades now, and it does give you that refresher. You can come back in January all fresh, so I'm glad we do that. That's great. And just from a community perspective, I'm glad to see some of our programs, recreation programs doing really well, like the kids art class, for instance. And so just I thought that was a good news story, watching those things there. So that's all.
Yeah. Councilor McConnell, anything? Good. I have two, and one is just a compliment to the rec staff for those great things, like whether it's the aerobics classes or the art classes or the cookie decorating. I think that it's so good to see, and it's great to see that all those programs are being very, very, very well attended. And I think from what I've heard, most of them are full, if not, people waiting to get on those lists. So, well done, my team and the staff. If you can pass that along, I think we're all proud of that good work that's happening. So, my question would be to, maybe to the CAO or to board, and it is in relation to the sidewalk. So was that a report or was it actually repairs? And is that the same, if it is repairs, is that the same where you see those 2-inch or higher or 2 centimeter or higher areas where they've sort of trimmed that back and leveled it out a little bit?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I'll maybe allow the Director of Operations. to respond to
CEO,
that.
the mayor. Yes, so they came in and they evaluated both Spencerville and Cardinal. And they listed out all the repairs that are required, which they do in every municipality. The last time we had it done, we were actually, I thought it was quite high, not being real familiar with it. It turns out we're actually in very good shape. And so the major displacements were supposed to be all done this year, along with some of the potholes. So we think we had about $12,000 repairs done, plus the report from the, with the description, and we'll be looking to do some more next year. Yeah.
So just to follow up on that, yes, so it is basically the shaving to level that
I
off.
like that.
And it has been quite effective.
And my apologies to the Director of Operations. I called you board when I said that and it didn't. I'm sorry, it slipped, and my apologies. I'm trying. So yeah, so just cleaning those up, so the sidewalks will be for
All
this
the
year,
vertical
this season.
displacement, that was the major default, and one of the, typically that's one of the major trip hazards. So they were all cleaned up. There's still panels that need to have cracks and so forth that need to be filled and so forth like that. But and the holes, the major holes were filled. So I think there was $5,000 of vertical displacements replaced, and the balance of the $12,000 was filling holes.
Good, awesome. That's all that I have.
Yeah, I think we can comfortably say that the sidewalks are in a state of repair.
Yeah, good. Oh boy, I forgot. I was getting excited. I thought we were gonna get through this really quick today. Then I flipped the page. All right, so you're done. So we need to have Councillor Smale move to, you have a motion, let us see if it's administrative update, if you would read the motion.
It's moved as mayor. It's moved by myself and seconded by Chris Ward. That the municipal council receives the CAO's administration report as presented.
Further comments and questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Good. And so we are on to item number 13, which is councillor inquiries and notice of motion. Do we have any inquiries or notice of motion? No, go ahead. I'm gonna start with Councillor Dillabaugh, or Councillor, I did it again, Councillor Martel.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, as the COA, see. Yeah, this guy alluded to, we had this fantastic Ugo on Saturday, and we also had the market over here at the drumming building. Do we have any mechanism or program where we send out, some sort of thank you that, you brought all this people into town and they're buying our fuel and our sandwiches? Do we have do we have anything like that where we can send out a thank you to the organizers? You did a great job. Thanks a lot. Do it again next year.
Through the mayor, if council would like some sort of thank you notice to go out, we can probably prepare one. You want that under the
Can we, I mean, I know it's increasing notice of motion. So the inquiry is, can we do that? The question, the answer would be yes.
So the question, the question was, do we have a mechanism now? Will we do that? I'm assuming the answer I'm getting here is no, but we can.
I think the mechanism would be how we would normally do it, which would be possibly somebody would request a scroll.
through the mayor, typically the scroll gets requested and completed. We don't typically proactively provide scrolls for every event. In no pun intended, but in the event we miss an event, So, so to speak, so it's usually by request.
So if a member is requesting, then we can
Correct.
provide a scroll.
We could prepare a scroll.
Thank you.
Yeah, through the chair, thank you, the facility manager. I had two, well, yeah, they are complaints. Through the chair, the facility manager. Is there, we did have it at one time, I do believe, but the bleachers inside. We have some kind of sign, I'm not saying for seniors only, I'm just saying senior seating. You know, the bleachers inside the warm area, Mike. I got 2 complaints where it was cold outside, the seniors were out in the rink, got cold, they came in. There was all young people sitting in there and they couldn't sit down. And I did see it myself. And it was young families and they're, you know, if it was me, I would say, hey, sir, will you please have a picture? Didn't happen. We put maybe a sign, I'm not saying please.
Through the chair to Deputy Mayor Bilibov. I would, I mean, it's the will of council for starters, but I would not want to put a sign up because if we're gonna put a sign up, then you have to police it. And if you're saying put a sign up, but then you don't have to police it, then there's no sense putting a sign up. In my opinion.
I just didn't
Is
want
this
like
the special arena
senior
or the
seating.
arena?
Pardon?
Is this the special arena? or the-
Yes, no, Spencer.
Like, we have a total of 7 of those benches there.
Mhm.
And I mean, I would hate to designate them. That it's for seniors or for kids or for, you know, family only. And then all of a sudden, there's only 2 of them being used and 5 of them that are being emptied because there's no. Family of 5 that's at this one, or there's no seniors that want to sit. So.
I just thought we had seniors seating and if there's no seniors there, let anybody sit there. That's all. That's why I said I didn't want police by no means.
Then I would, if we don't want to police it, I would rather not do it.
So, if I may, because it is inquiries and notice of motion, why don't you include it for a discussion item for a CDC agenda?
Did you have?
No, I just wanted to, through the mayor to, Declaration Director Michael. You said there's 7 set out there now?
I don't want to set a bad precedent tonight, but when it comes to inquiries or notices of motion, it's not for really discussion time. It's if it turns into a discussion, it's meant to be on a committee item. So let's start this off right. And the inquiry's been made. Staff's aware of it. Let's put it on a committee level and have a discussion about it in the appropriate way. That fair? Let's do this the right way, so we don't end up in inquiries having debates and discussions all night. Okay. Recreation portion of CDC, okay. Does anyone have any further council inquiries or notices? Sorry, I hope I didn't knock anybody off with that. I just want to make sure that we start this off, because we did that a lot in our last term. I was partially to blame for it all the time. So we can move on. Good. All right, so we're into mayor's report, and I know this is gonna be bad for you guys, but I actually did a time. I'll be quick. All right, so a couple of items. Thank you to staff for arranging and executing an excellent inauguration day event. It was an exciting way to begin our term, and I think I can speak on behalf of council to say thank you for all the hard work that went in that day. We're all very much appreciated. Deputy Mayor Bilibon and I have been doing United Counties of Leeds Grenville orientation. There is certainly a steep learning curve there. But like here, United County staff are committed to making sure that both the alternates and myself are ready to do their respective roles at the county's level. There's a lot for us to learn at the county's level. The deputy mayor and myself, I did notice that the CEC was at the ECDEV Summit in North Grenville, very well organized and informative event. Excellent talk done by Vice President Pierre Cleroux of the Business Development Bank of Canada, the BDC, on what we will see over the next couple of years economically in terms of interest rates, risk, and growth. I would make the suggestion to members of council, if you aren't familiar with Pierre Cleroux, go on YouTube, see if there is something there where he is speaking over what we can expect to see in the next year or 2 years. And he's one of the top economists in Canada, and it'll certainly affect decisions we make here at this table. Deputy Mayor, Port General Manager, and myself attended the Aquarium on Friday to present the second of 3 installments to the from the Port of Johnstown to the building of a functioning grain elevator as a centerpiece attraction for the Aquarium. We toured several new attractions. Oh shoot, I forgot your picture. I actually brought it home. I will pin it up here somewhere. Which are fantastic, and they're sure to attract many families for the year to come. The Aquarium is the DM spoke on the value and relationship of the Aquarium and our port's involvement in the development of our youth and the next generation of our agricultural industry. Our township and port are proud to have the involvement in this project. Councillor Chris Ward and myself attended the tree lighting in Spencerville on Saturday night. It was an honor to bring greetings on behalf of council and have Councillor Ward light up the tree for the 22 Christmas season. Congratulations to our many volunteers who made the evening a huge success. It was very well attended with many young families enjoying the night and getting their picture with Santa and the missus. So well done to the Spencerville Business Community Connections as well as Spencerville Optimist Club for their great work. Lastly, as mayor, I'd like to thank all Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal staff for their professionalism, their efforts, and their patience with us at this council table and meetings like tonight, where we all begin our new journey as council in this new term. So thank you for your patience again as we all grow and learn. That's it for the mayor's report tonight. Councillor or Deputy Mayor Dillabaugh, I believe you have, I'm going to get it by the 4th year.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Ward.
Questions at all? Hearing none, all in favor? Question period, there's nobody with us to ask questions, and closed session, which is number 16. If you could read the closed session, Deputy Mayor Dillabaugh. After he reads that, then we'll do a 5-minute, and I say that we're doing a 5-minute after he reads it. Okay.
So we're going to close now?
Yes, and I'll say after you're done reading that, we'll go into 5-minute break first.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Ward that municipality council proceeds in the closed session at 8:28 in order to address the matter pertaining section 2392, proposed or pending acquisition, disposition of land, municipality, and local board, Edwardsburg Land Bank and Job Site Challenge, section 2392, personal matters about the private individual, including municipality or local board employees. Minutes in closed session dated November 2nd, 2022. Ooh.
So before I call the question, we'll just take a 5-minute break after I call. I will ask the question, but I'm just informing everybody that we will take a 5-minute break after I call the question.
Okay.
I got it. So all in favor? Okay, 5-minute break. All right. All right, so coming out of closed session, council received information from my apologies.
So Deputy Mayor has that motion as well.
I need to see the minutes.
Checking out of closed session.
Oh, the motion came out, moved by myself and seconded by Council Ward that the closed meeting of municipality council does now adjourn. The opening meeting does now resume at 9:35.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. All in favor? We are back in open session, correct? Hey, I got it. All right, so reporting out of the closed session, council received information from the Office of the CAO in relation to the Edwardsburg Land Bank and the job site challenge. Council provided direction to the CAO to get additional information and return follow-up, and return to council with that information. And we also, council also received and reviewed minutes from a previous meeting, November the 2nd. And Councillor Dillabaugh, I believe you have a motion to bring forward in regard to those minutes.
Moved by myself, thank you, Mr. Mayor, moved by myself and second by Council Ward that the municipality council receives and approves the closed session meeting dated November 2nd, 2022.
Great, everyone's had a chance to receive and review those. Any questions, comments? No, all right, then calling the question, all in favor? Good. That's done. I did that backwards, didn't I? I reported out before we received the minutes. It's okay?
Share either works.
Or other works, okay, so then we've completed number 17 then, so we're on to the confirmation bylaw, which is Councillor Chris Ward.
So moved by myself, pardon me, and seconded by Deputy Mayor Steve Dillabaugh, that a bylaw to adopt, confirm and ratify matters dealt with by resolution now be passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2022-70.
Great, so again, call the question on this, all in favor on the confirmatory bylaw?
Aye.
Good, and so the last item up for this, it's a non-debatable, non-discussable item, which is adjournment.
Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stephen Dillabaugh, that the municipal council is now adjourned at 9:38 p.m.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.